You are watching Xirtus.
Politics is very exhausting, and I think yes, again, people are very tired of politics. But the thing is, like the political sphere does overlap with the philosophical sphere to a certain degree, even if it's like sometimes politics just really seems like largely spectacle than anything else. So, um, yeah, I understand why people are totally exhausted of it. It's because I think we're a little bit media exhausted as well. Yeah, just
Yeah.
and information
Sorry, I
exhausted.
just need to say I'm experiencing some really bad like skyjacking or something. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to fight the good fight. But I've had 5G all month. And then of course I try and get on the show and I've got like 3 bars 4G. It's inexplicable. I've got like trucks coming and parking in front of me. And like CIA trucks in front of me, parked in front of me, like jacking my signal. I don't know what's going on. Of course, that's not true. I don't believe that. It's true though.
Yeah.
So I will try and
If
remain with you as best as I can. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but this is just like what is going on.
No, it's okay.
It's all good.
We were just talking about how we all think politics is pointless, but we still talk about it because our brains are completely controlled by um, the reptilians.
That's right,
Yeah.
and I think we're all aware, right, that politics is super serious, and everything they say is like totally legit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Philosophically speaking.
Well, okay, so no, that's a good one. So it's like once you kind of lose your grip on like a baseline, like a bedrock of reality, it obviously can't be politics, it can't be society, it can't be, it can't be quote unquote truth as we know it anymore. This is where I think like a lot of people are gonna start to get like really spiritual or really or maybe religious, you know, because I mean, when we were just talking about like high tech weaponry that could send you psychic attacks with like sound waves that our human ears just can't perceive. I mean, that's scary shit. It's terrifying enough to make like your average person who like even feels a hint of how terrifying that actually is would easily turn to God. You know, they'd be like, "Well, who's going to save me then except God?" You know, like that's when you start like
Right.
I guess praying or becoming spiritual or
Yeah, you're
whatever or
gonna
like
you're gonna need your paladin armor, bro. Like, what else you gonna
yeah.
do?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that's what we should do. I'm just saying like that's I could easily see that happening. Either
No, it's
that,
definitely that is the that's gonna be the instinct. I mean, we've got like the God particle or the God gene or some shit wired into us, like by the Anunnaki or whatever. Like we have to put it up to God when we don't know what else to do. I think it's the rules.
yeah. Also, like, what's the alternative? It's like when you lose your bedrock of reality, you either quote unquote turn to God, or things just get really out of control, and then you just become like the other end of that God spectrum, which is like evil, I guess. And you're like, well, everything is permitted, nothing matters, so I could just do whatever the hell I want, and that's when things get like really bad. So, you know, I would say that's an interesting thing that
Yeah,
I've noticed.
it's a hell of a thing trying to I really got to give it to the atheists out there that it's a hell of a thing that when you're faced with absolute chaos and pointlessness, there's no divine plan, there's no divinity, there's none of that. It's all fake. It's smoke. um
I mean, this
Trying
is
to
what
find your way and purpose, to find purpose in your life, like they really got to trudge through some wilderness for that.
this is what postmodernism was supposed to prepare us for, but I don't necessarily know if it did a good job at that. Um, from what I understand, anyway. I mean, because that kind of makes sense.
What
But
do you
now it's
mean?
like,
So break it down for people that aren't like very well
no,
versed in postmodernism.
look, I can't like break down postmodernism, but what I can break down is like
Well,
no,
that's the point, right?
yeah, what I can break down is the sensation of like going through ontological shock, and you're like, oh fuck, you know, that's like a dark, that's like some shit that could trigger like a dark night of the soul, you know, like where like your whole paradigm of reality suddenly has some really glaring like flaws, and you're like, oh shit, I really can't rely on this anymore.
Right.
But that's
You know
probably
what's
important,
beautiful? You know what's beautiful is it is important because the dark night of the soul is like a thing. It's I don't know if this is like a religious concept, if this is like an archetypal concept, if this is like something baked into reality, if this is like brain chemistry, what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's something that like everybody kind of returns to, and I think that the dark night of the soul is one of the most beautiful things because once you've been broken down to nothing, then you're basically free to go from there and build up. And what I'm trying to say is that when we are confronted, and we are right now in society, this truth, the post-truth world thing going on, politics mean nothing. Is we're all kind of going through a dark night of the soul right now, and nobody knows what to believe. But what I think is beautiful and advantageous about it is that once we do all collectively start to, and we'll do it at our own levels, but once we all collectively start to build back up, we're going to be moving mountains. We're going to be the new Greek statues. I really think we're going into something beautiful potentially right now. We're at a very interesting point in history. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, I agree. Because if a civilization could get back in touch with their spiritual essence again, as they have technology that could enable them to do like all sorts of crazy shit. You're right. Like that is like the sky's the limit kind of deal. I guess like a utopia kind of thing becomes like in the
because we're forced.
Kind of, like,
we're forced into a corner.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I that's why I like it. Like I've never been the one to complain about like our current situation. I always felt it was exciting. I mean, I have a lot of sympathy for people like who are just trying to live in their own little bubbles of sanity. And at the same time, they're sharing reality with people whose job it is basically to disrupt your little bubble of sanity. Like that's their job. Their purpose in this world is to do that. So I have sympathy for those people. And I mean, once you kind of figure that out, you're just like, okay, let's just wait and see what happens. All I got to do is just stay aligned. I that's what I think of, like, just try to remain aligned in terms of like make sure like my mind, body, and soul aren't fucking with each other in like a really bad way. And I think if people just
humans are, because we don't have fur. This is just the way I look at it. This is my own, like, I don't know if this is something that I based on it or anything, but it's because we don't have fur. We're mammals without fur that have these minds. And as a result, we are the most adaptable and resilient things on the planet.
A lot of people are pretty furry.
But yeah, Robin Williams, he was an ape. But what I'm trying to say is that humans are we are capable of some things, man. And this may not have been the life that everybody wanted, and we're kind of forced into this corner where we have to figure some stuff out right now that we don't want to figure out. Because it's weird, because we started out when I was born in 91. And I was probably born into the easiest time in all of universal existence to live. Like every need was taken care of. The economy was perfect. And now it's all falling apart as soon as we get it. And that's what we know. And the other people, they're used to it. They grew up into it. They're boomers, and they like that was their end game. And they're like, wait a second, what? We don't get to retire on this?
Yeah, I know. Because I was born in the same year as you. I am also a 91 baby. And I recall living through 9/11. I guess that was kind of a big deal, for especially as an American.
I still haven't recovered, dude.
Well, I was living in New York City literally when that happened. Well, I still live in New York City, but even I was born and raised in the city. So aside from that, another big deal, in my opinion, maybe it's overlooked, but I think 2008, that crazy housing market crash like changed a lot of things in like a lot of not so obvious ways. But if you really think about it, like it did set like a whole new precedent, especially with the whole like, because that's another big part of the whole like global awakening or quote unquote whatever. It's how like more people are starting to realize that money is actually kind of bullshit, and it's like it's an arbitrary
it's a social construct.
Yeah.
Well, it sucks because like my power's back on, by the way.
Oh
It sucks.
yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But it sucks when you try to make money like as fast as you can, and you can't compete with how fast they can make money. You know what I'm saying?
And how
so,
fast it's being devalued. You can't save it.
That's what I mean. Exactly. So it's like the idea of making money isn't very logical. But guess what? Yugoslavia, Soviet Union, India, Vienna, like World War I in Prussia. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to give you examples. Confederate currency, Los Angeles in the 1920s. It's all about making the mafia in Louisiana. It's all about making deals between each other because there's nothing more valuable than your word or your time. You know what I mean? You only have so much time, and all you have after you lose all your time is whether or not your word was any value. So people making deals based on favors, that is how the economy is run at the highest level.